Your backwoods preacher comes to you today from a scene across the bay. I think it's this way. You can see Petoskey, Harbor Point down below, but it's a gorgeous day, and I thought I'd come here and look over at you people from the other side of the bay. You know, we've started reading Genesis a little later this year than sometimes. Abram has already become Abraham, and Sarai, his wife, is now called Sarah. When Abram was 99 years old, you see, God appeared to him. Abram fell on his face, and God said, "Behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be Abram, but your name shall be Abraham." Now, we remember that Jesus calls his father Abba, right? In Hebrew, Abba means father, Abram means exalted father, and Abraham, or Abraham as we call it, means father of nations. Maybe this lesson is an appropriate coincidence for Father's Day. Wait, Father's Day is next week. I'm having coronavirus calendar confusion, please excuse me. Anyway, today we have Abraham entertaining three strangers by the oaks of Mamre. In Orthodox iconography, this is the scene used to depict the Holy Trinity. And Sarah, who is baking cakes but busy eavesdropping on what's going on their conversation, and she hears what they're saying, that she and Abraham, who remember, almost 100 years old, the two of them are going to have a child, their first. And no wonder she laughed. But she comes to realize that her laughter is actually holy, her pregnancy is actually happening, and with God, nothing is actually impossible. With God, nothing is impossible. Sarah has learned, as we say these days, to think outside the box. Jesus, of course, was hardly someone who confined his thinking inside a box. Sometimes it seems that he isn't even aware that there is such a thing as a box. He's always coming up with preposterous ideas, like the harvest is plentiful, but the laborers are few. So here he is, the Son of God, with divine power to heal and proclaim good news and cure disease, and he decides he's a little short-handed in his ministry. It's a peculiar thought that God should need the help of mere mortals like you and me. But even this God incarnate seems to need a hand. So he calls the 12 disciples, a mystical number of 12. Abraham, of course, begat one son, Isaac, and Isaac had Jacob and Esau, and Jacob had 12 sons. Each of these became a father of one of the tribes of Israel, as the story goes. And in nearly 2,000 years between Abraham and Jesus, those 12 tribes have been through a lot. Mostly, they are dispersed, some here, some there. They are the lost sheep of Israel. So Jesus commissions his disciples to go and find them, not to seek out new converts to Christianity, didn't actually exist yet, but to bring back into the fold those who have gone astray, sons and daughters of Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Joseph, and Benjamin. In some accounts, the names are slightly different. That happens in the Bible, but there are always 12 in all. The same way there are always 12 disciples of Jesus, even though the list varies slightly from gospel to gospel. 12 as in 12 tribes of Israel, 12 disciples of Jesus, an even dozen, and maybe even the 12 days of Christmas. The number represents a kind of fullness, and not just in our tradition, but among the 12 Olympians, who were principal gods in the pantheon, the 12 sons of the Norse god Odin, or even the 12 rebel princes who fought 12 great battles until they were subdued by England's legendary King Arthur. 12 represents completeness. For Israel, it means all the descendants of Israel, all 12 tribes. The number 12 indicates that all the family is present, everyone is there. So I'm hoping today we could do a little collective thinking outside the box this morning and consider for a moment what our 12 is. This may be more difficult for us here in northern Michigan than, say, in Jersey City, my former hometown. The city of Jersey City, New Jersey, that's its official name, seriously. Anyway, Jersey City was recently proclaimed the most diverse city in our nation. here in Emmett County, we have a ways to go before we could win that reward, eh? So sometimes some things can seem moot or inapplicable to us. But I just wonder what it would be like if instead of celebrating our homogeneity, we yearned for the completeness of creation. Instead of citizens whose ancestors mostly came from Europe, if we had significant representation of African, Asian, South American, and yes, Native American peoples. Now that would be a picture of the kingdom of heaven. And the only thing we would lose is our unfortunate human penchant to find our value by asserting the lesser value of someone else or some other group of people. Surely we could live without that. Because when the Christian people are complete, we are mighty. 12 tribal leaders, 12 apostles. Remember that number 12 represents completeness. Everybody, everywhere, is represented by Simon, also known as Peter, and his brother Andrew, James, son of Zebedee, and his brother John, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the tax collector, James, son of Alphaeus, and Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanian, and Judas Iscariot, the one who betrayed him. And when Judas hangs himself, the other disciples quickly replace him to keep that mystical number 12. Because this ragtag band of a dozen men has been given authority, and all together they can cast out unclean spirits and cure every disease and sickness. Makes you wish they were here now, doesn't it? Curing COVID-19, curing the disease that is racism, casting out those who will not wear a mask in a store, and helping us all become the best us that we are able to be, a people who value hope and love and joy, and who seek to share these with all others. Oh, I know, it's easy to be skeptical. What about Antifa or the Michigan militia? Those are two groups who definitely do not value love, hope, or joy very highly, and they're not alone. But remember, with God, all things are possible. All things, including a safe place to lay one's head for everyone on God's green earth, including sufficient nutrition for everyone, including vaccines and cures for disease for all the earth, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, no matter where your ancestors came from. Because mythically speaking, we are all children of Abraham. Our differences are those of siblings, not of avowed enemies. And so let us follow the one who is the way, the truth, and the life. As W.H. Auden wrote in his famous hymn, follow him through the land of unlikeness. You will see rare beasts and have excellent adventures. This very unlikeness is where we find the strength to do what God has given us to do. Because the harvest is indeed plentiful, but the laborers are few. So let us seek out those lost tribes, those who have drifted away, and perhaps even those who have not yet sailed to these shores. As the people of God, when we are complete, we not only represent the diversity of God's creation, but we also will find the power to cure the sick, raise the dead, cleanse the lepers, cast out demons. Now that, my friends, would be a sign of the kingdom of God come near.